Yeah, g'day guys, Simon from On Patrol Photography here. Well, we're in the middle of summer at the moment in Melbourne and we're getting thrown quite a few warm days by good old Mother Nature. Today's one of those days where at the moment it's around about 32 degrees outside. The sun is blasting down, it is hot out there. Now, I was on social media earlier and another local photographer is heading down to Phillip Island tonight for a sunset. He's heading down to the Pinnacles. So he's got a spare seat which I'm jumping in with him, and we're going to head down and see what we can capture. So what I'm going to do now is go and get the bag ready, make sure everything's in the bag, all the batteries are charged, tripod's ready to go, and load it into the car. So let's go. Well, here we are down at Cape Woolamai. We made it. We're on our way to the Pinnacles, which, if you can see over there, all the way over there. So there's a few steps going up here the cliff and take a path all the way along. Absolutely beautiful down here this evening. Look at that sun shining. It's been 35 degrees today. It is absolutely gorgeous. There's a nice bit of a nice breeze keeping us cool. So anyway, time to keep moving and get to this location. Magnificent. Alright, well, before the sun sets, I've picked up my first composition. Now, what I'm liking about this angle is just the contrast from the setting sun, highlighting up on the rocks. Now, if we have a look out here, you'll see what I mean, how there's a big contrast between the shadows and the highlights. But I think that's going to work quite well. What I'm doing is I've got the 6-stop on there at the moment, the 6-stop neutral density filter, and that's just to slow the water down a little bit, to give it a sense of movement and to flatten it a little bit, because even though it's a reasonably quiet night, it's still, well, obviously it's an ocean beach. There are waves coming in, so I just want to smooth that out a little bit. So I've got the 6-stop on there, and I'm bracketing 3 images together simply because I don't have the dynamic range between the bright sky and the shadows on the rocks down in front of the camera here. So what have I got? First exposure is 5 seconds, followed by a 10 and 20. So we'll see how it comes out after they're done. Alright, that's done. Now, one thing I've learned in the past is to always cover the viewfinder. When using neutral density filters, I'm usually the one that doesn't, and I end up with highlight spots right through the images, so they're basically unusable. Now I'm just reviewing what I've got here. As far as highlights go, they're all in check. Obviously they're blown out on the 20-second exposure. But I've got just enough lighting from my 22nd from the top of the rocks, which is all I was going for. I didn't want them being too bright in the exposure, simply because it doesn't come out as too realistic. So ignore me, I'm getting attacked by a sandfly here. I'm actually quite happy with that. We'll see how that comes out later when I blend the 3 in Photoshop. I try not to blend them too much, but look, in situations like this I think you have to, otherwise you don't get the dynamic range. I've gotten that angle now. I'm going to have a look around and see what else I can find. And as usual, when walking around these locations, just got to keep your eye out in front of you, behind you, to your left, to your right, just for anything that sort of might look interesting. Just the sun setting, it's lighting up the top of this cliff here. Now it blends in nicely with the red rocks that are in the wall, and especially at the bottom. I will flick over to the other camera now. You can see the red rocks at the bottom here. Nice textures in the rock wall itself. And then you've got the bright sun lighting the top up nice and orange as well. So I've just taken a quick handheld with that, f11 ISO 200 and a shutter speed of 1/30th of a second if I remember correctly. And we'll have a look at that later. I think that's going to come up quite nice though. I'm loving those reds. Anyway, we're running out of sun here, so I've got to find a composition for sunset now. Alright, well the sun's now set, but because there was not a cloud in the sky, we've still got a lot of light, creating a little bit too much contrast between the sky and the shadows on the rock formations. So just the waiting game, waiting for the light to drop a little bit more. Got a nice composition happening here. There's the setup there. I'm going for a vertical shot this time, just with the whitewash from the waves leading up to the Pinnacles rock formation in the background. It does work quite well, but I'm just waiting for the light. And keeping an eye on these waves, of course. I'm perched only half a metre above the water level, so any big wave that comes through, I'm probably going to get wet feet, but you know me, that's part and parcel with this. So anyway, I'll check back in as soon as the light drops off and we get a nice shot. Cheers.
The Pinnacles at Cape Woolamai. Wow, what a location. It has such a prehistoric feel to it. The tall towering rock formations reaching for the sky, the massive round boulders that are getting thrashed by the ocean swells. The walk along the cliff tops from the beach to the location overlooking the oceans. What an experience. That is a great location. But I have to say, do be careful though. It's one of those locations that does cop the ocean swells. So as usual, you've got to be careful of the waves and the tides, and especially not so much the walk on the cliff top, but the climb down to the location. It's very steep and very slippery, so probably not for the faint-hearted. But look, it's doable if you're fit and you've got stable feet, basically. Now I was going to give an update after the final images were taken, but they were taken 50 minutes after sunset. That's right, it was a long time waiting for the highlights in the sky to drop low enough to balance with the light on the foreground rocks. But I must say, I'm absolutely stoked with the photos I've gotten. The glow on the rocks, the sky's all in check. It's look, I'm just absolutely stoked with the photos. All the images were taken with no filters used. However, I did have to bracket 5 images just to make sure that there was enough dynamic range to be able to bring those shadows up with minimal noise and to keep the skies in check. They were, yeah, it was just a balancing act between the two. But anyway, this is the end of another video, guys. Thanks again for watching. I do appreciate all your feedback and comments, so leave one below and I'll make sure I read it and get back to you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with any new videos I'm posting, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers guys, see ya.